Hey, welcome back to the Tango Banter. I am Yelizaveta. And if you've been with me on this podcast for a while, you know that one of my favorite things that came out of this podcast is the opportunity to actually meet a lot of you in person when I travel, when I attend different events. And there are a few upcoming events and opportunities for us to see each other face to face. The one that's coming the soonest is Chicago. I will be in Chicago August 27th through September 2nd. I will be attending the Cinco Tango Marathon. And of course, I will be teaching privates, teaching a workshop for women who are working on their leading. So if you're interested to work with me, please check out the link in the show notes. And you can also check out the rest of my itinerary for the fall, which seems to be filling up quite quickly. Let me know if we might run into each other somewhere along the way. Now, today's topic is all about clothing, and I really wonder, why does tango make us care so much about our clothes? And even though there are dancers who assert that they don't necessarily care about what they wear, I think if you were to compare tango dancers as a whole to social dancers from other traditions, there would be a marked difference in our attitude about clothing and how we present ourselves. There's definitely more pomp and circumstance around the wardrobe that we wear to tango versus other dance forms. And in fact, I've heard that for many dancers from other social dances who are curious about tango, who want to dance tango, the only reason they might not actually venture out to a milonga is because they're so intimidated by the dress code and the expectations of the etiquette. So it doesn't even have anything to do with the dance itself. So, what is it about tango that's so demanding when it comes to attire? I'm going to really speak about this from a woman's perspective, my own, and of course, what I've learned over the years from hundreds of conversations with other women. I'm sure that there are parallel stories and questions that exist for men that I hope I get to hear more of. For now, I'm just going to speak about one of the sides of the equation. So, when I first started dancing, I did not feel that I wanted to conform to any sort of dress code. And I was very adamant about that because growing up, for part of my education, I had to attend a private school. And I just really hated the idea of having to wear the same thing as everyone else and not being able to be myself. That was a big concern for me. So when I finally asserted myself in my youth, and I kind of had a very basic way of dressing myself that really was focused on how to cover my body most efficiently. I had a very low self-esteem. I did not like to show a lot of my body. So there was a desire to artfully cover it up. And when I started tango, I really was at this place where I only wore black. That was actually a phase that I went through because I was too stressed out about the challenges of dressing appropriately for this dance. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to wear black. I'm going to make it really simple for myself. So for a number of months, I only wore black. That was just one of the phases of this journey with clothing. But tango kind of pushed me in different directions because I noticed that women who dressed a certain way got attention more than me. And especially when I went to Buenos Aires, I started seeing more and more how the clothing that was very form fitting and accentuating the curves of the woman, the slits in the back of the dresses or the back of the skirts, all of those things, they were really hot. Like the first time I actually saw a woman dancing in one of those skirts with the ruching in the back, that was all the rage back then. I mean, they still are the rage, but back then it was like, oh, man, it was a revelation. When I saw it, I was like, I didn't even know your butt could look that good. So seeing all of that, of course, made me question my choices of wardrobe. And eventually, I had to join the ranks of women who wear those dresses and skirts with the slits and the heels. And I embraced all of that style that I don't know whether to call it the classic tango style or the popular tango style that I feel is now kind of more established. You can kind of spot it a lot of times with professional dancers who come from Buenos Aires, and especially with the women, you see that classic tango look of the hourglass shape of the body and the heels, and it's such a cool look, right? It's an awesome look. And for a while I sported that look and tried to become more and more of that look. And it was fun. It was a way to jump in and explore this world of, I would say, very specific type of femininity, right? Because it's very easy to like that kind of look, especially when you're showing a lot of skin. It always looks provocative. So early on, to hear very openly the advice from many milongueros to get a dance, just wear a shorter skirt. It made so much sense. And I accepted that as a reality, that if I wanted to be a tango dancer, I needed to look the part. When I posed this question to the group about like, where does clothing fit in your dance? A lot of people said that it serves as part of their self-expression, that there is a joy in dressing up and being able to wear something other than what you regularly wear in your daily life. Some people really emphasize that it needs to be comfortable, right? That the clothing needs to allow you to move, which is something that I gradually grew into demanding more and more, and was this direction partially is responsible why I've given up wearing all the dresses and skirts. But for a lot of dancers, the comfort is the priority. But I know that there's two other kinds of realities for dancers because I went through these phases myself. One is this phase of covering your body and using clothes as a way of hiding. So for those dancers who feel like their body is not the right shape and should not be shown inappropriately, and so the clothing ends up serving this purpose of hiding and preventing other people from seeing what your true shape is. That's one possibility of relating to your clothing. And the other is this place of wearing something because you feel pressured to wear it so that you can get more dances, which is what I ended up doing for a long time as a follower. I didn't even consider that there was any other option besides wearing those kinds of dresses. I felt like to be a tango dancer is to wear those dresses and to wear the heels. And even as I think about what I wore to, let's say, a tango party versus a fusion party or a blues dance party, always for tango, I would think, oh, it needs to be something different. It needs to be this very specific look. But there's really a truth to this thing that something can look right, but not feel right. And even though when I look at pictures of myself from those years wearing the dresses and the heels, I am impressed. It always looks better a few years removed, and it looks nice. I appreciate seeing those images of myself. But at the same time, it didn't really feel like me. I always felt a little awkward, like I'm not quite fitting into these clothes the way I see somebody else fit into them. Like it never was easy for me to pull that look off. I always felt a little clumsy, a little awkward, as if I'm wearing someone else's clothes. That was my typical experience when I was wearing those. And the biggest things were that with dresses and skirts with the slit, sometimes the slit is too high, and that made me feel really awkward. The possibility that I'm revealing more of my body than I think I am, and dealing with the pools of sweat that run down your back, and then you're wondering if that's showing on the skirt. It's just a lot of discomfort in general. Plus, a lot of it is kind of limiting when we're thinking about pencil type skirts. They do resist against your movement. So they do alter your range of motion. So in a way, I was sacrificing something for these clothes. And I was so invested in looking a certain way that there were times that I would actually leave the milonga because I did not like the way I looked in the mirror when I arrived there. So it's such a dramatic impact that it can have on how you feel. And me not fitting into the ideal that I had in my head definitely influenced how I danced and then how I actually felt about myself as a dancer. This eventually had to shift when I started leading and I gave up wearing heels. And it's like I gave up wearing heels because I started leading. And I gave up wearing the dresses because the dresses don't look as good with the flats that I had at the time. So I started wearing pants. And it took me some time to accept that I'm not really going to go back to wearing the dresses because the comfort that I get from wearing pants and wearing, comfortable clothing really outweighs the aesthetic points that I might get by wearing something that's less comfortable and more flashy. So my wardrobe has really simplified into mostly just a pair of pants with multiple tops that I rotate throughout the weeks, throughout the weekend if I go dancing. And for a while, I felt very guilty about that. And it was difficult to accept that that's all I have to offer, that there are people who really go all out and they put so much thought into their makeup and their hair, and it's a whole production. And I really value the work that these dancers put into their look, but I just don't have that willingness. So I didn't really feel that I had any kind of style or aesthetic plan to look a certain way, to develop, to have my wardrobe be a creative expression for me. But I noticed that because I was wearing clothes more and more often that were really comfortable for me, and then layering on top of that, wearing clothes that were really fitting my body and articulating my body in the best possible way, in a flattering way. That's really when things started to shift, how I perceived what the possibilities are for your wardrobe when it comes to tango. That as a woman, I actually have a lot more ways I can express myself and feel attractive, that it doesn't have to be one particular look anymore. I think for some more traditional circles, maybe it's still the case. Like if I were to go to Buenos Aires and try to attend Cachirulo Milonga, I probably would not be allowed to enter wearing slacks and pair of flats. But I think in overall, in general, for a lot of dancers and a lot of communities, there is more of an acceptance that you can look different, you can wear different things and still come across as elegant and beautiful. And, you know, I wonder if you've ever made this observation that when you wear something that makes you feel really good about yourself, you also feel good about your dance. I think those two are really related. That when we feel attractive, we also dance better because there's this psychological relationship between how we feel and how we move. But I think what becomes really attractive is not clothing that is super revealing for just the goal of being revealing, but more that the clothes that you wear are actually showing off your body in the best possible way. That there's the synergy between your body and the style of the clothes that you are covering yourself with. It can be something very loose and baggy and flowy, but it's not for the purpose of hiding your body. It can be the way your body looks best. Or it can be something revealing and very dramatic because that's what you really love about your body. You love to show your body in that way. I think it's the clothes that make us feel really good about ourselves are also the clothes that we get most compliments on. Clothes that are like, you put them on and everybody always loves it when you wear that. And it just looks so good and makes you feel so good about yourself. Those are the pieces, I think, that when you dance, feeling that way, feeling the power of those clothes, that's when you dance your best. And I think that's what comes across to other dancers. That's what they pick up. That's where your confidence grows and you look more confident and come across as more confident. Ultimately, it's not about hiding or revealing, but it's about being seen for the right reasons on your terms. Tango's traditional aesthetic is very clear. You have the man in the armor and the woman is exposed. That's the standard image of tango that we've inherited. But what if that contrast doesn't really match your values and doesn't meet your body's needs? You know, I've worn outfits that have been like so hot and got me so much attention, but at the same time caused so much anxiety and pain. And at the same time, there's been nights where I just decided to wear the easiest pajama like outfit I could find. And I end up being complimented and I get all the amazing dances and it's like totally unexpected. So I think dressing up, wearing heels, or showing skin with this mindset of attempting to attract, to come across a certain way, ultimately is not sustainable. We all maybe will expose ourselves to that intention, but it doesn't last because it's too difficult to chase after it, especially for women who begin to feel the impact of wearing heels for years and how painful that is. And as we age, that our bodies are just not willing to sustain the pain anymore. You see that you have to adapt. You have to acknowledge that you might not feel comfortable enough in those clothes anymore. They're not allowing you to express yourself the way you want and not be in pain at the same time. So I think that confidence in this case really comes from choosing clothes that make you feel really powerful, make you feel invincible, make you feel embodied, that allow you to move well, that give you pleasure when you see yourself in the mirror. I think there's so much potential and room for exploration of what is possible. When it comes to the fashion choices that we have for tango, it's very narrow. There's not that many choices. So I think it's up to us individually to embrace the challenge, and especially for those of us who feel that our bodies are not as elegant or as youthful, as beautiful as they should be, as they used to be. Especially for us, it's so important that we not see our bodies as an obstacle to looking beautiful, but instead look for clothing and accessories that accentuate the beautiful aspects of the body as we have it now. Isn't it true that when we look at pictures of ourselves from the past, they always look better than what they felt like when we first took them? So that just because you don't like yourself now the way you look, a few years from now, you'll look at that photo and be like, oh, what was I thinking? So it is a choice. It's a mental choice to act in this way towards your body, where you use tango, you use your expressive power to actually show what's beautiful about your body through the clothes that you wear. And that might mean color, texture, patterns, accessories, so many possibilities of expression that have yet to be tapped. And this is just for women. I think for men, there's even more places to go with this, because men's look in tango has been very narrow, very one-sided. There could be more exploration on that front. So I'm curious how you feel about the clothing that you wear to tango. Is it an opportunity for you to show off, to express yourself, or do you feel like you're having to wear things that you're not really comfortable with and you're struggling to figure out what your style is? Drop your thoughts in the comments or send me a DM on social at I'm So Tango. That's IMSO Tango. Now, have you ever noticed that tango can be a little bit like high school? Like what you're dealing with is some of the emotions and dynamics from your teenage years? This is what we're going to be talking about next time. So join me at the next banter. Until then, ciao.